What is up, Truth and Transparency? How we doing? Welcome. Waiting here on Dayvon to give me a call. I am surrounded by all this paper, my whiteboard, all these original, look at this, all these original documents. That's what an eight pack looks like when you have to pick out your person. And then, where is it? So, but I'm excited because I found some really good shit. Been digging. What's up, party people? We're about to make some moves, hopefully for Dayvon. He'll be calling me here in just a little bit. I was waiting for him to call before I started, but I'm just going to start and just recap where we're going to be picking up, which is we're going to finish out Misty Martin's cross-exam. She's about to get cross-examined. Parts of Brandon Morgan's preliminary hearing. I have the official paperwork here of Brandon Morgan receiving full transactional immunity for his testimony. 2005 paperwork. Found that. This correspondence is intended to follow up on the agreement reached during our telephone conversation on November 18, 2005. The district attorney's office has agreed to provide full transactional immunity to my client, Brandon Morgan, regarding the events occurring on November 15th and 16th, 2005, as identified and described in the statement signed by him. Also included in this immunity agreement are any matters related to and or arising out of the statement drafted and signed by my client on November 16, 2005 at approximately 3:10 a.m. The same exact time stamp that Misty Martin has on her paperwork. And I am going to have you guys be the experts on it, but I think I sniffed out some forgery. I want you guys to see it. I did the same thing with the Jamie Brown case. I'm going to show you guys that as well. So at approximately 3:10 a.m., while he was being interrogated by the Beaver County detectives, the district attorney's office agrees to seek, request, and move for an immunity order from the court, providing my client with the transactional immunity described here within, if such becomes necessary and appropriate under the circumstances. Full transactional immunity to get on the stand and basically lie your motherfucking ass off. That's why I played for all of you guys. I believe it was, my days just run together. That's why I was following that. The court, it's on live right now. That boyfriend, he had the jailhouse FBI informant. So, but yeah. But there you go. Full transactional immunity was given to Brandon Morgan. And wait till you, I found a bunch of stuff. So we're going to make sure that you guys have the whole case in terms of everything that Jamie, Misty, and Brandon Morgan testified to. And how in the world did this ever even get past a preliminary hearing is, I found out how it did. And I'm looking into, but I'm going to share it all here today. But this was just most crazy. Like, it's just crazy. This was a complete setup all the way around. And the same detective that was involved with the Jamie Brown case, Detective Timmie Patrick, he was the one calling the shots in this case, and going and seeing people right before they would be testifying. Wait till you guys see it. It's insane. Your Scorpio placement must be so strong, Lana. No idea what that means. I don't follow any horoscopes. Alice, love you, girl. and be talking about your favorite person here in about a couple minutes. Again, welcome members, subscribers. We'll take a little break from the Idaho 4 case. This is a 2005 case. Where a lot of horrible things happened, and there's a guy in prison right now that shouldn't be. So we're going to see what we can do about that. Well, we don't call him. He calls us from prison. We don't call him. Here he is, I think. Hello?
Hey, Lana, hold on 1 second. I told him you wanted to talk to him for a couple minutes first.
Oh, okay. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to him at the end.
Oh, okay.
Okay, cool.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hey, Dayvon.
What's up, Lana? What's going on?
How are you? I'm just, chilling. It's my birthday weekend, so,
Yeah.
watching some March Madness, having an angry orchard. might toss back some fireballs.
How are you enjoying this March Madness? Because it's kind of crazy right now.
It's crazy. My bracket, it's all right now. But anybody that was picking those 15 seeds and 2 seeds, look out.
Yeah, because shit, if you took, I know a lot of people took Purdue, but that shit killed a lot of people's bracket.
What, Purdue lost?
Yeah, Purdue lost yesterday.
Those Boilermakers.
Yeah, they got their ass whooped yesterday. By the team I never even heard of.
I know, right? That's the best. Actually, I can go grab my bracket. Let me take a look. Who do you have winning it all?
Shit, it's up in the air now, for real.
I got Houston. Winning it all in my bracket.
I said Houston. If Miller gets healthy, then I'm gonna deal with Alabama. But he hurt right, he's like injured right now, so he ain't really 100%.
Oh my gosh, yeah, Farley Dickinson. That's who beat Purdue. That's right. So I got Marquette though coming out of the East, so I'm all right now as long as Marquette takes care of business out of the East.
I think they playing now, ain't they?
Yeah, but I picked you over March Madness this afternoon.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Tonight and tomorrow, I'm gonna be watching it all day. I'm pre-gaming here with you. I worked last night on your case, and then this morning for a couple hours here, and then a couple days during the week. I found some stuff for you.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
I said you was. If anybody could find it, you would.
Right. Well, look at that.
Yeah. I ain't have no public defender.
Are you sure you never had a guy that they assigned and then it got dropped off? Like,
I thought that was just a formality.
Yeah, it was a formality. So he didn't do anything with your case, right?
No, Garland. I think that's his name.
That's his name.
Yeah, I had I was just waiting on Patrick Nightingale to enter his appearance.
I have my birthday gift from Boston. Since she sent me something. Well, I only opened up one thing. I pulled up one thing out of the baggie. So I was just commenting to one of the commenters. She had sent me something, and I had to flash it because I'm wearing it.
Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution. Green. This call is subject to recording.
Just open one thing.
When was your birthday?
It's tomorrow.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit.
So I'm pre-gaming with you, huh?
What you got planned?
Oh, what do I have planned? I'm gonna go out tonight, and tomorrow we're doing. So yeah, tonight and tomorrow. I'm just gonna
make it a weekend day.
Yeah, I haven't been out in a while. So my friends are coming in from Cleveland, and we're gonna go do some stuff, I guess. They're taking me out to dinner. They got a black car for me, you know. They said I said, we could just Uber. Oh, and they're like, oh hell no, we'll get a black car, we'll get a driver. And I said,
Right.
well, we don't need all that, I don't want to be going around telling everybody how old I am. And they're like, we'll just act like you're 21. So
Yeah, that's all.
but yeah, so that's what's up later on. And then tomorrow we're doing I don't even know, something. There's a concert tomorrow night. So but yeah.
Well, hopefully you enjoy your birthday.
Yeah, I'm gonna try, I'm gonna not think about true crime for a couple days here. Gonna try to anyways. It really doesn't work out that way, but
Right.
but I got all my stuff done for one of my cases I had been working on.
Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution. Green. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
So
Yeah.
some time will be freeing up here, which is good. I know that I was talking to Lindsay about that.
Oh yes.
Something I really wanted to ask you about though was, okay, do you remember at your preliminary hearing when all of a sudden they wanted to one of the guys, I think it was Brandon's attorney, he was like, can we approach? And he's like, I got to ask for a continuance here. My client is the only one that's in like, basically street clothes, and everybody else is in orange.
Oh yeah, he had green. He got green on because of the block he was on. He had green, a green uniform in it, and the rest of us had white and orange. He had a white and green.
So they were referring to him having a green blazer on, but he didn't even have he was in a jumpsuit.
Yeah, he was in a jumpsuit. This is like when you on C block or something in the county, you get a white and green one, and the rest of the jail is orange and white.
Okay, because basically, Mr. Bowers was going to town, hammering Brandon Morgan on the stand, and then all of a sudden, his attorney, DeMartini,
Yeah.
Brandon's attorney was like, wanted to have a sidebar and wanted it on the record. He wanted the sidebar on the record. But I thought it was a very, very inopportune time because they were hammering Brandon Morgan to the point of like, whoever this attorney was, Mr. Bowers, whoever he was representing, because you guys were all there at the same time, he did a great job of getting this timeline down to show that this didn't happen. Nowhere near like what you're saying. And it was in such a good flow. And I just feel like it's like one of those things where I have to ask myself, Mr. DeMartini, did you get paid to want to have this continued?
Right.
Because it was. Do you remember that? Do you recall that?
I remember them wanting to get a continuance or get Brandon's clothes changed because I think that was either before or after Brandon Morgan had chose Brandon Reeves as two different people.
No, that's what. Yeah, he just done it. He identified him in the courtroom as being Marquay and Antoine.
Antoine, yeah.
Okay, so, and it was like, which was good, which was really good. Like that's like, I mean, that's what you would want.
Because I challenged the photo lineup because if you look at the photo lineup that I was in, my head was the only one that was tilted to the side, and the photo lineup was done by someone who knows me, and you identify me in the photo lineup, but you didn't identify me in court in person.
Right, and he identified you within 10 seconds.
Right.
Or no, I'm sorry. He identified Brandon Reeves in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, so how about this? at the beginning of this testimony at the preliminary hearing, Brandon Morgan says they had like a 10-minute recess. And he comes back in and he like goes ham on him and says, because basically when he was out there, he says, I want to get to the part. He goes, wait, hold on 1 second. Okay. He says, did you talk to anybody outside the courtroom? No. So you didn't talk to Officer Couch? Okay, yeah, I talked to Officer Couch. Oh, so you did talk to Officer Couch. Because in between that 10-minute recess, one of the police officers goes up to Brandon Morgan and tells him, hey, this is who this person is and this is who this person is, if it is asked by you again.
Right. Yeah, he told him he picked the wrong person.
Yeah, and wanted him to know, like, here, these are who these people are. This is where he's sitting. This is where they're sitting.
Right.
So, okay. So then they get him on the record of the preliminary hearing saying that he did identify, the same person for two different people. Okay. And that was going really well. And then what was really going well was like the time frame of all of this allegedly happening. Okay. What happened when it was continued? How long was it until you guys were back in the courtroom? And like, do you know how long that was?
No, I don't really remember. I don't know if they went down there and fed us and then brought us back up or what.
Okay. So it was.
Does it say it in the?
Was it? Yeah. Well, they don't have any. Like, there's no more paperwork with it. It was like, So I don't. It seemed like it got continued for another day. That's why I was asking. I know it's been 18 years. Okay. All right. So. All right. So this is where we're gonna pick up here. Is I went ahead and. I don't know if you know this, but the version of paperwork from the Kim Clements, the detective that interviewed Jamie Mori. You know if there's papers, they stapled it, the state stapled it and gave it to you, and there's papers or pages missing? Like they purposely don't have certain pages of those transcripts in there.
Oh yeah, I know that.
Okay, yeah, which is really important because the pages that are missing, it's really important. So I'm going to see about getting the pages that are missing. All right, so we're picking up where Jamie or Misty Martin's about to get cross-examined, okay, by your defense attorney.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to show on screen some stuff that I have here.
You have 1 minute left.
Oh, damn. Okay.
15 minutes go real fast.
Right?
The 15 minutes go real fast.
All right, let me.
Yeah, I'm gonna call. I'm gonna call right now.
Okay. So, we're gonna pick up where the cross-examination is right here. Okay. All right. Good morning, Miss Martin. How are you? She says good. Then Miss Martin, I was wondering when.
Thank you for using Securus.
He'll call right back. I was wondering the last time you had a conversation with the Commonwealth about this case, and Martin says last week. Last week, do you remember the specific day? No, I don't. Did you speak with Ms. Popovich? Yes. About the same thing that you're testifying here today? Yes. And all of the things that you just testified to, these things were the same things that she asked you then? Yes. And you said that when you initially gave a statement to the police that you lied, right? Yes. And you said that you lied because you were afraid, right? Yes. So I'm going to stop right there and I'm going to show you guys what I'm actually going to send it through here so you guys can come up on the screen. I took pictures of what was said in this alleged write-up that happened. Let's see.
Hello?
Is he there?
Hello?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, hold on. I'm trying to redact something because these aren't redacted at all. So I just want to tap off the top. 1 second here. So I question if what Misty said she's testifying to. I don't believe it's her writing. I want to know who wrote this for her and who signed this for her. So I'm going to show everybody so you can see, everybody can see what I'm talking about. But I don't believe this is her handwriting. And there's different times that she does use her handwriting. And I'm about to show the difference. And then there's pages missing from her original voluntary statement that she made at 3:10 in the morning. So I'm going to put these on the screen. Because it doesn't go in any type of order. It's all over the place. And the handwriting is completely not the same. So I just want to show when the people are watching that they can see what I'm more or less, saying.
Right.
So here we go. This is the order. 1, then 2, 3. Okay, let's see. All right. All right. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna read what she originally said. So this is page 1 of it that everybody's seeing. And I'm gonna zoom in and I want you to take a look at the way that it's signed Misty Martin there. Okay, you see that signature, that Misty Mar. So you're gonna see all that. Okay. And then normally when you're writing in your name, you say I. That's supposed to be your handwriting as well. Now you see how she has initials here, MM, but somebody actually signed it as well in that box right there. So I'm just showing people what to be looking for. Now take a look at this. This is then what is given. This is supposedly page 1 of her, what she says, which is they wanted drugs, something, anything. They took Jamie's jewelry, rings about a necklace, cell phones. So I highlighted that, cell phones, because I don't believe that Jamie even has a cell phone. But then she goes ahead and she crosses that all out. And then she writes, like I said, I was along for the ride. They wanted us to drop them off at a place if we knew who sold.
This is a call
We
from
were in the
Pennsylvania
car for a
State
long
Correctional Institution.
while.
Green. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
With these two guys, but then she crosses out guys. We picked them up 5 minutes earlier before, and then there's just like a line before we stopped at Sheets in Rochester with two black males. Then after we left there, we didn't know what they wanted. Drugs. I was sitting in the back minding my own business. Then about 45 minutes later, they got mad, wanting drugs. We told them we didn't know anybody. Now take a look, everybody that's watching at home. Look at the way that Misty Martin is signed right there. Check that out. Okay. Now, see that signature there? Now look at that signature there. Okay. It's completely not the same signature. Moving on. Then this is allegedly page 2 of this. Again, look at that signature. That is it. That's the same signature of the person, I believe, whoever forged this. It says, now this is supposed to be page 2, which doesn't make any sense because it says, but Brandon had a friend that he knew, but wasn't sure if he sold, not sure where, because we weren't allowed to look. Go. I don't even know what that says.
This is a call from
Brandon.
Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution. Green. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
Brandon was driving. We went to a dead end spot in Aliquippa, and they shot out the window, which that's not even one where the window was allegedly shot out. But this is what she's, writing. And and then everything started happening. I was playing on my cell, and I was also smoking a cigar about the time we got to Quip, and it went bad. Me and Jamie begged and pleaded to be let go. They threatened to shoot and kill all 3 of us. They wanted money, took Brandon's ATM card, and held the, and this is the last page, which says, it starts off by saying, I didn't give it to them. I didn't know what the guys looked like, had deep voices, made Jamie and I strip. They did have Brandon and I at gunpoint, then hit him for the second time. I did black out once, I think, after they dropped us all at Brandon, after they dropped us off. And Brandon and I walked around for about, she writes 45 minutes, but crosses it off and writes 30 minutes before we saw an officer. Okay. That's her original statement that she gave, but there's pages missing. It's just a complete, and yeah, let's see what people think about that at home.
Contradiction to everything that she testified to on the stand.
Yeah, so then this is the cross-examination, which is, okay, so she just admits that Popovich was with her the week before. And now we're at the part where it says, okay, and you said that you lied because you were afraid, right? And she says, yes. And that Brandon wanted you to cover up the fact that he was in a drug deal. And she says, yes. Right, okay. And do you recall the statement that you gave when you gave it? And she says, that's why I just read all that to everybody so that they know this is her statement. She says, yes, I remember. And she says, what day was that, ma'am? When did you do it? She says, that was the early morning of the 16th. Right. And where were you living at that time? In Baden. In Baden. And this was a handwritten statement? Yes. By your own hand. Okay. Yes, and this is why I've cut that top part out, okay? Because I didn't want to reveal what address she had written in there, and there was also like social security number, so I just cut that out. But it's the reason he's asking this is because that handwriting, he's basically alleging to the fact that it's not the same either. You know what I mean?
Right.
So now this is the issue though, is that so Todd Hollis is the one that's doing this cross, not Benyo. Todd Hollis is.
Mm-hmm.
And she's saying that yes, that's her handwriting basically. And he says, okay. And do you recall exactly what you said? And she said, pardon me? Do you recall what you said? Yes. Did you ever tell the police that this was a drug deal that had gone bad in your statement? In my statement? No. He says, no. Okay. Now, if the only thing that you were intending to cover up was the drug deal, right? Then everything else should have come in correctly. Right? And she says, right. And she says, and then he says, okay, so do you recall telling the police in your written statement that Marquay had forced you to have sex with Brandon? And she says, no. Well, by your own admissions, just a few minutes before Popovich, you said the only thing that you wanted to cover up was the fact that this was a drug deal gone wrong, right? And she says, no, I wanted to cover up. I tried covering up Brandon so he wouldn't get in trouble for anything. Okay. But that was related to drugs only, right? Right? Yes or no? And she says, yes. So the sex was just simply between you and Marquay, right? And she says, no. And then he says, what do you mean? There would be no reason why you didn't tell the police that you had just had sex with Marquay if you were trying to protect Brandon about the drugs. I told the police when I gave an oral statement, was her answer. He says,
Yeah,
my
but they would have made her write that down.
Exactly. And there's stuff that's missing because it doesn't make any sense. It's going out of order. Like, this is insanity when you actually read it. I just read it verbatim. How I believe there's pages missing, okay? Because then I think he kind of gets into it. So we'll see what he says here. Well, he's like, my statement to you right now is, my question to you right now goes to your statement that you gave at 3:10 in the morning, the day of the incident, right? And she says, right. He then says, you failed to mention anything about Marquay forcing you to have sex with Brandon, right? And she says, right. Don't you think that that is important? Yes. Did the police threaten you? Did they tell you that they aren't allowed to write certain things, but you could write others? She says, no. You were in a safe place, right? She said, right. Now, if we're taking everything that is in this statement, right, that you gave on November 16th of 2005, and we throw it out the door because you were afraid, well, you say you were afraid. Did you ever seek any counseling as a result of your issues? Yes, she says. Where? She said, this place in Rochester. She says, do you have a report? She said, no. Did you ever give a report to the district attorney? No. I have been seeing a doctor on a regular basis for depression. Before that or after that? She said, before. Okay, before that. Okay, so the fact that you had this incident, I mean, was of no consequence because you had already seen a psychologist? Yes. So again, if we throw the statement out the door, then we are to presume that when you went to the preliminary hearing again, you are in a safe place, right? Right. So that any statement that you made at the preliminary hearing will be the truth, right? Okay, now you told Ms. Popovich that you picked Marquay up and Antoine at the auto zone, right? Correct. Okay, well, what time was that? I am not sure exactly what time it was when we picked them up. I would say it was just a little after 10. In the evening? Yes. And now, so what I just did is I made a whiteboard. So I'm going to share with the crowd the whiteboard of these events to show how none of this, and I believe if Benyo would have put an ounce of effort into it, that this is what they would have done too, is because you want the jury to follow along with, okay, there's no way that this happened in this order because I went and got your timestamp from the ATM. I went and got your timestamp from being at Sheets on the camera, right? So I added those on and took the distance from every place that they said they went, and they're basically putting you guys at Sheets at 10:30, p.m. based on their accounts of things. Well, your picture at Sheets is at midnight, exactly at 12 o'clock. So
Yeah, I didn't even realize it was that late.
yeah, when you were on the camera at Sheets,
You have 1 minute left.
it's at midnight. And they're saying that they went right after AutoZone picking you guys up, that you were like, I'm hungry, let's go get, stop at Sheets. Well, if that's the case, because AutoZone's right by Sheets, it's not far at all. How are you getting at Sheets at midnight if they're picking you up at 10:30? And I even gave them a little bit of cushion there because I think that you guys were probably picked up at 10:15, but we'll just even giving them to 10:30. You would be on Sheets' camera like right around 10:30 if their statements are true. But you weren't.
Right.
You were on Sheets' camera at midnight. And it's because they were hiding the fact that they're trying to make it seem like you guys only went to Paluski's one time, that the Paluski homes once.
Right.
Okay. Well, I don't understand why there wasn't enough put on that. You get what I'm trying to say? Like that.
Thank you for using Securus. Goodbye.
All right, back home.
Okay. Let me pull. While he's doing that, I'm going to pull up the whiteboard. Here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, hey. All right.
I think if Todd Hollis had more time to really prepare for the trial, I think he would have did a lot better. I don't think he did bad. I just
You need time.
Yeah, I think he needed a little more time to really be able to investigate everything and research everything and just really get a full understanding. I don't believe he had enough time. But
Okay.
he did.
Yeah, no, he definitely did. Oh my God, he blew. What's his name? I mean, you basically had Todd Hollis like a week before the trial started.
Right.
Okay, so so here we go. So I put up the whiteboard so everybody can see. So at 10 p.m., Brandon, Misty, and Jamie head to AutoZone. At 10:10, they get to AutoZone because it's like a 5-minute drive from where Misty and Brandon were coming from. Then I put, like I said, I gave them a little bit of a cushion because they said they immediately picked you guys up and went to these Sheets because, quote unquote, Marquay was hungry. But then, in fact, when you get the actual evidence that shows you walking into Sheets, that was at midnight. It's because of your true version, which is we went over there first and then they were all jacking around and, then we left up out of there. And then because we had to wait, you're like, well, if we're going to wait, I'm hungry, go to Sheets, I'm Sheets. Isn't that right?
Right.
Okay. So, which I kept asking myself, why couldn't they just say how they went, back and forth, right? Well, then I realized what Brandon Morgan's statement was all about. He was just supposed to pass you guys off and drop you off somewhere. That's his statements. Which would be
really being a part of this.
exactly instead of it's actually him. He was getting the drugs from these people to then sell to you. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
All right. So I like to break everything down as to why didn't the state roll, which is the time, this is why they couldn't roll. But I don't understand why then Benyo and your team, because they were doing it in the prelim, but it was the other attorneys that were doing it. Whoever that attorney was that was repping Rivas, or not Rivas, but Bowers was kicking their ass. And I feel like somebody said that on purpose to like cut that prelim off because he was waxing their asses being badly. Because they didn't have all, because guess what it allowed them to do? It allowed them to get more time to get the information from Sky Bank, because there was allegedly a glitch in the system, which I'm going to get into. Or they got them to completely falsify the document. So we'll find out. So here we are. So she's up on the stand still. And I never had said that to magistrate. Oh, wait. Okay. All right. And did you ever tell a magistrate, or did you testify at a preliminary hearing, that the two men that came to the car were wearing masks? No. You never said that? I never said that to a magistrate. Oh, I'm sorry. I never told that. I never told a magistrate that. Did you ever make a statement at a preliminary hearing that the individuals that approached the car were wearing ski masks? She says no. Mr. Howell says,
call from Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Green. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
Mr. Howell says, page 144, line 17. Your Honor, may I please approach the witness? And he approaches and he says, she says, I want to direct your attention to, I'm sorry, it's 145, line 17. Take a look at that. Read it. Does that refresh your recollection as to what you said at the preliminary hearing, ma'am? Yes. Now, look the jury in the face and tell them what you said. They asked me if they were wearing black face masks, and in my handwritten statement, I told them that they were. So at the preliminary hearing, which was January 11th, 2006, that would have been about 3 months after this incident took place. Yes. Which would have been closer to, in your mind, you told them, a magistrate under oath, that the individuals who had approached that car were wearing ski masks. Isn't that correct? She says, I don't recall telling him, but in my handwritten statement, I said that they were wearing ski masks, but I told them that they weren't. When the court asked a question of you as to whether the individuals were wearing ski masks, you said that they were, right?
Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Green. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
This thing.
Like, serious.
She says, no. He says, you never made that statement? They asked me if they were wearing ski masks, but I said that they weren't. That is what I just put in my handwritten statement, because that is what Brandon told me to put. That is what Brandon told you to put? The guy that's getting full immunity? Well, guess what he just tells me right here? He says, do you recall on January 10th? Okay, so check this out. January 10th, do you recall what you said to, it's, what's the day? Oh, he says the actual, oh, right here. So at the preliminary hearing, which was January 11, 2006, I said to myself, holy shit, that's when they went and got that new information from Sky Bank. So I was scurrying through all this paperwork and I found it. And I was like, that dude that testified, his name is Detective, I'm going to put this up on the screen so people can see, because I want them to be able to follow along. This was literally one day before the preliminary hearing. Okay. And this is why I believe they were about to get literally like, it was about to get thrown out. It was about to get thrown out. And then all of a sudden you had that continuance. And I want to know why in the world that continuance was asked for, because that was everything, in my opinion, when I show you this, what I found. Because it wasn't, that played into everybody's favor. He just identified Brandon Rivas as two people. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, why are you like, who else is taking the stand? Like, and he's like thinking that, oh, this is going to, everyone's going to be blaming him type of thing. But your attorney had an option to object to it. And everybody was like, we don't have any objections to that because they kind of got it. I get it. Like, he's the only one in that outfit. But what it allowed is they then went to town and they were able to get all of this stuff that they manipulated. Does that make sense? Like, that's why a preliminary hearing happens so quickly, is so, like, it's to protect people.
Yeah.
Okay, so here, I'm gonna put this on the screen. But that was everything to me when I saw that. I was like, holy shit, I know that date. Why do I know that date? It's because of this paperwork that Couch went and talked to the Sky Bank manager, approached him, and I don't know what the hell they said to this man, but this guy then claims that the timestamp on the video camera is wrong. Okay, so but wait a second.
That doesn't make no sense.
I know, and nobody questioned it. And I'm like, wait, what's going on now? Because I was like, this is wild. So I went and got this. Let's see. I'm gonna go back here. Stop share screen. Oopsies. All right, I'm just zooming in so that people at home can see they're watching. All right. This is the January 11th, one day before the preliminary hearing. One day before, they're able to get this. Okay, here we go. From Skybank, Lawrenceville. They faxed it on over. January 10th, 2006, to Detective Don Couch, who, guys, mind you, has been, all up in corruption. Subject to the CCTV surveillance video. Skybank previously provided you with a copy of a photo from surveillance film on Skybank's ATM located at Broadhead Road in Aliquippa. The video had a timestamp of approximately 1:48 a.m. and had the photo of a person completing the transaction on the ATM. When the video was provided for the investigation, I researched the date, time, location, and transaction number of the transactions in question. It was determined that Visa card, checking card, whatever, was used on November 16, 2005 for 3 transactions. Two of the 3 transactions were declined since there were not sufficient funds in the checking account linked to the Visa check card. The transactions were as follows. Now they're trying to say that it was at 12:46 and 47 seconds for $500, declined. Then at 12:47 and 42 seconds, $300 was accepted. But what I noticed is that it's 2946. There's a transaction missing. 2947 is missing. Okay. Then at 4810, they tried to take out another 100. It was declined. I was able to determine that the CCTV surveillance video footage had an incorrect time showing on the system. This was determined after I compared the ATM transaction number to the recorded transaction number on the CCTV system. Okay. This is all he provided them with in this stupid letter. Like, how do I know? You could have just easily typed this up. You get what I'm saying? And to push it back an hour, for an hour, we don't know. And they didn't have an expert. They did no cross-examination on him whatsoever. And Banyo did the cross on this guy. Okay.
Did the time of the camera and the transaction align with each other?
It's not in evidence. I don't have that. So that's what I'm trying to say.
The time of the transaction, they got the transaction papers in there, right?
This is the only paper I have about it. Otherwise, all I have is testimony. I need the stills. I need the stills. I don't have the.
I thought I sent you the stills.
No, when?
because they sent me paper stills.
Okay.
In there.
I
But,
can.
you can't see the people in there, but the times and all that is on there.
Of the stills?
Yeah, the stills. But if you don't have them, I could check my paperwork to see if I still got them, and I'll send them to you. But
Okay.
I wonder if the stills, the paper that they sent me with the stills on there and the timestamp on there, do it align with the actual transaction.
Yeah, because there's one missing. Like it skips. So like, so because it was saying that this basically it's putting you guys at the bank based off of the stills at 1:40, 6 a.m. and the actual ATM is putting you there at 12:46. But this is for this to just be typed up on a letterhead. Okay. You want to actually see the paperwork. This is anybody can write a letter. Okay. So anyways, I just wanted to show you that and to show them that so that way that they're able to follow along. But so they were able to get this prior to your preliminary hearing, which would have never been possible. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So going back to Missy here, she said that
You have 1 minute left.
they said when the court asked a question of you as to whether the individuals were wearing ski masks, you said that they were, right? And she said, you never made that statement. They asked me if I was wearing, we went through that. But you still told us either orally or written the black men were wearing ski masks, right? And she said, I did that. I written now. Ms. Pavlovich says, Your Honor, objection to asked and answered. Mr. Hollis says, she is not responding to the question.
The caller has hung up.
Ms. Pavlovich says, okay, I believe she has responded to the question. The court says, I believe she has as well. I will sustain the objection. Mr. Hollis, keep your place, because at this point in time, I don't like to break up the cross-examination of a witness, but I suspect that this is going to be a lengthy cross-examination. So at this point in time, I'm going to break for lunch. All this judge cared about literally was breaking for getting his breaks in, I swear. So then they come back and here we go. Okay. Miss Martin, prior to our break in your cross-examination, you told me that the reason why you wanted this statement excluded was because you didn't want to let the police know that Brandon and you had been involved in a drug transaction. Is that correct? She says no. Well, why is it that you don't want this statement, that you wanted to lie to the police about the statement? To cover up for Brandon. To cover up for Brandon. Okay, not to cover up for you. Right? Well, right. Okay. When you were covering up for yes. When you were covering up for Brandon, that was in relation to the drugs, right? Yes, I guess so. I can't hear you. Yes, I guess so. Okay. And it occurred to me as I took the statement out that almost every sentence in the statement involves drugs, right? Yes. Right. So you didn't really exclude any testimony about the drug relationship, did you? With Brandon. And these two unidentified black males that you have in the statement here. Correct. Okay, and you stop me if you disagree with whatever I'm saying, okay? You have at least have a half a paragraph that you just scribbled out, correct? So I'm going to put that back up on the screen. Because he's basically looking at what I'm looking at, and it's just like, what is this? Like what's going on here? Okay, so this is what he's referring to when he's questioning. So here you guys go. So you're able to see what he's asking, and this makes no sense. All right. So he says, You had at least half of a paragraph that you just scribbled out. Correct. Do you recall doing that? She said yes. Okay, and what you scribbled out was they wanted drugs, anything, right? That is what it says, right? Correct. Okay, they took Jamie's jewelry, rings, and a necklace and a cell phone, right? Correct. Right? Well, you scribbled that out too, right? Yeah, correct. Then it says, like I said, I was along for a ride. They wanted us to drop them off at a place if we knew. You said you were in a car for a long while, right? Correct. Scribbled all of that out, though, right? Yes. Because that was a lie, right? No. It was the truth? Yes. But you scribbled it out. Correct. You scribbled out the truth? Correct. What you didn't scribble out was we picked them up 5 minutes earlier before we stopped at Sheets in Rochester, right? Correct. All right. With 2 black males, right? Correct. Any black male could be any black male in the courtroom because you didn't identify what they looked like, right? She said right. Height, weight, eyes, complexion, just 2 black males, right? Correct. And then you say I was sitting in the back minding my own business. Correct. As if you were just a bystander, right? She's like, correct. 45 minutes later, they got mad, wanting drugs, but we didn't know anybody, but Brandon had a friend, right? And she says, correct. And that friend, okay, there we go. And that friend would have been Otto? Correct. Okay, but supposedly Brandon wasn't sure if Otto sold drugs, right? No, Brandon knew. Oh, Brandon knew. But you weren't sure? I didn't know that he did sell drugs before. Okay, but your statement here says, but Brandon had a friend that he knew. We just agreed that that was Otto, right? Yeah. Okay, and it also says, but he wasn't sure. So you're referring to Brandon, right? Excuse me? Yes, Brandon, right.
This is a call from Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Green. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
Brandon, right? So Brandon sold. We took them to New Brighton and not sure where because we weren't allowed to look, right? Right. Did you tell this jury during your direct examination with Miss Popovich that you weren't allowed to look as you were driving through New Brighton? No. Brandon was driving, right? Right. We went to a dead spot in Aliquippa and they shot out the windows. Is that what you said? Yeah, that's correct. They applies more than one person, right? She says, right. Okay, but when you told this jury on direct examination just a few moments ago that the person who shot out the window, you couldn't see them, but you believe it to have been Marquet, right? I knew it was Marquet because he is the only one that had the gun. Or a gun. Had the gun. Okay, but you didn't see him shoot the window out. I didn't see it, but okay. Did you ever make a statement that Antoine Rivas had said he had a gun? I didn't know he had a gun. You asked him if he did, didn't you? Correct. And he told you what? Yes, he told me yes. So possibly there were 2 guns in the vehicle. Correct. And after this window was shot out, you told Miss Popovich and the jury that you were frightened, right? Right. And the statement it says you were playing on your cell phone Tetris?
This is a call from Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Green. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
And the statement, it says you were playing on your cell phone Tetris. I was playing on my cell phone before the gun was brought out. Your statement says after... Let the witness answer your question, counsel. Certainly, I'm sorry. What was your response? If you ask a question, it must be important that we get an answer. I was playing on my cell phone before the gun was pulled out. Your Honor, I would like to approach the witness and ask her if I can hand her statement. I think that would be an excellent idea, the court says. You're reading the statement, and the witness hasn't seen anything yet. Excuse me? I want to show it to counsel. Okay, so he hands it to her. Can I have back my statement, please? Thank you. Does that refresh your recollection as to the time sequence in which you say you were playing with Tetris on your cell phone? Yes. And that would have been after the window had been shot out, right? Not before, as you just said. In my statement, it says that. But before the window was actually shot out, I was playing. Oh my God, no, there's another lie. Okay, so you're changing your statement now. But when you wrote it the day that it happened, you said that you were playing on your cell phone after the window had been shot out. When I had my interrogation from the police orally, I told them. But in writing, that is what it says, yes. Okay, that is what I'm asking you about. What really struck me is that on the third page on your statement, do you remember your statement? This is the third page, I think. Yes, you read it right, yes. Okay, on the third page of your statement, you said, I didn't know what the guys looked like, right? Correct. But today before Ms. Popovich and this jury, your memory is unfathomed. You read it as if you had that statement. Ms. Popovich says, Your Honor, objection. Counsel is arguing with the witness. Mr. Hollis says this is cross-examination. The court says, ask a question, counsel. Objection is sustained. Mr. Hollis says, you met Ms. Popovich at her office 7 days ago, didn't you? Last week, yes. Yeah. And she handed you your statement, didn't she? I read over it, yes. And she handed you your transcripts from the preliminary hearing, didn't she? Yes. And you studied it, didn't you? Can't hear you. She says, yes. And now, all the things that you can't remember, if they even happened, all of a sudden, your memory is crystal clear today? Yes.
Yeah, that was the crazy part, that they really coached her up to all that.
Yeah. And she says, is that a question, counsel? Mr. Howell says, yeah. And then by Mr. Howell, for instance, when you took the stand today, Ms. Popovich asked you who the individual was inside of the vehicle at the time these two black men got inside the truck, right? Correct. And what did you say his name was? Marquay and Antoine. Marquay and Antoine. What did you call them at the preliminary hearing? Marquay and Antoine. Are you sure about that? Yes. So you don't ever remember calling Marquay Marcus? No. Mr. Hollis says, page 153, line 14. Your Honor, may I approach? He hands it to her. Take a look at that, please. The underlined portion of that. Let me know when you are ready. You ready? Yep, ready. The individual that you have described as Marquay at the preliminary hearing, you described as being Marcus, right? Correct. Is there a difference between Marcus and Marquay? I remember in my written statement, I put Marcus, but I told the cops that I thought it was Marquay. Well, let me ask you another question. Why are you writing something that ain't true and saying something that is true? Why is it your written statement is not consistent with your oral statement? Because Popovich says, I'm objecting as being argumentative. The court says, you asked 4 questions, asked one at a time, Mr. Hollis. Yes, sir. Why is it your written statement isn't consistent with your oral statement? Because I was trying to cover for Brandon. How were you trying to cover for Brandon? Your Honor, I'm objecting, asked and answered. Mr. Hollis says, this question has not been asked and answered. She has initially stated that she was attempting to cover for Brandon. I am simply asking her how. The witness says, by writing what he told me. I will overrule the objection this time. We are not going to continue all afternoon going back to the same topic. Mr. Howell says, yes, sir. By writing what he told me to say. Okay, by writing what he told you to say, that is what you did then, right? Right. And today, you are saying what the Commonwealth told you to say. No, I am saying what is the truth. What is the truth? Pardon me, she says. I didn't ask you a question. I'm sorry. Did you say that you blacked out? In the written statement, yes. Did you also repeat it at the preliminary hearing? I can't remember if I did or not. Well, did you or didn't you? In my statement, it says I blacked out. So you are saying you didn't black out? I don't understand what you were trying to ask me. During the course of the offense of the events that took place on November 16, 2005, at any point in time during those transactions, did you lose consciousness. There are bits and pieces that aren't clear. Did you lose consciousness? I didn't lose consciousness, no. Did you tell the court that you blacked out? I don't think I did. Mr. Hollis says, counsel, 158, line 9, may I approach? Take a look there. Take a look here. Now let me know if you're ready. Are you ready? I told her to let me know when she's ready. He was giving Hollis a hell of a time.
He didn't like Hollis. He called him a celebrity.
Yeah.
A celebrity lawyer.
Yeah.
So he really didn't like Hollis. He didn't like the fact that I didn't want Benyo no more, that I went and got another attorney.
Oh, and speaking of Benyo, so me and Dayvon did some talking. And he went and looked at his back at his docket, and come to find out, Benyo, at the end of this trial, Dayvon's found guilty for half of the stuff, not guilty for the other half of the stuff, and then motions to the court to withdraw as counsel, and he wants his money. He asked the court for his money, meaning he motioned and asked the courts to grant him attorney fees.
Right.
And do you know that's the only motion he put in on your behalf? Except the one about Hollis. Like, I could pull it up so everybody can see. But he asked and was granted attorney fees. So not only does he tell what'd you say?
He got paid by us and the court.
Yes. And for anybody out there that's saying, oh, well, he didn't get paid, so he's not going to do his job. He writes Dayvon a letter now. Now we have him writing Dayvon a letter, which is the most, I mean, he should be disbarred. Writing him a letter saying he's not going to do any of these things, okay, a month before trial.
You have 1 minute left.
Then comes to find out he didn't do any of these things. Okay. He come to find out he doesn't do any of these things, sits his fat ass in a chair for, less than a week, and then gets paid for not doing anything. What he told, hey, you didn't pay me any of this, so I didn't do any of this. But then has the balls to put in for attorney fees. I just, that, and I think that move right there would be enough when you report that to the bar, that you told your client you weren't doing any of this stuff because he didn't pay you, which is beyond, I mean, that's just misconduct like you wouldn't believe. Then for the work that you did not do, then you go motion to the courts that you want to get, and guess what? The judge grants it and pays him. And I'll put up those screenshots here of that. I've never heard of this in my life. It's disgusting. So how many people believe the testimony of Miss Misty Martin out there? I mean, how could you be this doesn't just happen with Misty. This happens with every single witness that they have. How could anybody that's a jury just be like, dude, I mean, these kids are lying. They're trying to get out of the drug stuff, so then they blamed all this stuff that never happened. How is it not clear as day? Again, maybe I'm the off one. What do you think, Lindsay?
Hello?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Donna.
Yeah, you there? Sorry.
So
Go ahead.
this is something that I've never seen, and I did research on this. I've never seen the courts give an attorney, a private paid attorney, lawyer fees. I've never seen that before.
Yeah. I've never,
Like,
that's what we're saying right now in chat. I've never heard of a defense attorneys doing that. Maybe I'm wrong. I've never heard, I just seriously cannot believe. I mean, we're just getting into the surface of everybody hearing this type of testimony and truly what went on in that courtroom. And that's the thing that really bothers me is that people don't know what went on in that courtroom. Okay. And when you actually hear this stuff, you guys, I'm not reading from something I made up. I'm reading from the transcripts. This is what happened in court. We have Brandon, Missy, and Jamie completely lying their asses off. Okay. And they're getting caught every which way. And it's how does the jury come back? Like, you know, as much as I can say somebody didn't do their job or this, that, or the other, or like, you know, to hell with the judge, to hell with the prosecution, to hell with you guys, we have jury members that are supposed to sit there though. And you're telling me you can't pick through, like, this is absolutely ridiculous in my opinion and completely wrong on so many levels. Absolutely.
I really think that the jury just, I really feel like the jury really didn't understand the magnitude of the charges that they gave me. Like, I think they went back there and said, well, we don't want to find him completely innocent of everything. And I think they nitpick. If you look at the verdict list, like, they really like nitpick through that. Found me guilty of 2 kidnappings, but not guilty of the other joint. It was like, had they known the time that I would get, or had they known what those charges could get me, I don't think that they would have. I just don't think that they wanted me to just walk out of there.
Yeah.
And then we don't know what the 2 jury members said. The father said to the 2 jury members, because they weren't the only 2 that knew. Because when we had voir dire, and we called the 1 jury member out, she said she didn't have nothing to do with it, but she heard about it. They was talking about it in the jury pool. But my jury pool was really tainted for real.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's just.
I don't know.
And who asked the questions that your jury, like that was done by Benyo, or was that done by Hollis? I have the voir dire. I can look at that too.
What part?
The part, like, who did the questioning at your voir dire? Was that
Benyo?
Oh. I mean, I don't understand how a lawyer like Benyo, or anybody that's a lawyer and would have had all this stuff in front of them and would have been like you're innocent. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a nobody, and I was able to, you know, I don't even have.
Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Green. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
Had Benyo fought the jury pool like he was supposed to?
Yeah.
Like he didn't challenge the racial makeup on it. I had 92 jury pool, but it was only 2 black jurors in the jury pool, and it was so many things that happened with my jury. Like one of the guys lying on his questionnaire, and about have him or anybody in his family ever been a victim of a crime, and his wife and stepkids was robbed and kidnapped at gunpoint. Which
wait, was that ever fought?
Yeah, it was argued. What happened was, we went to the voir dire with him, and we didn't know this until the next day. He went to the court officer or somebody and told them, like, listen, I went back and talked to my family about it. It was sitting on me. I need to bring this to y'all attention that this is what happened. My wife and 2 stepkids was held at gunpoint and kidnapped. And I lied about the question about have anybody in my family ever been a victim of a crime. So we did a colloquy on it, and we questioned him, and he said, of course, asked him, could he be fair and impartial? He said, I guess I can. I think so. Like, he never gave no definitive answer or nothing. But
why wasn't he just automatically dismissed though in a an alternate was used. Why wouldn't that just be what would happen?
And that's what I argued. That's what I argued on my appeal, because you violated my rights to because I could have used a peremptory challenge if the court wouldn't have removed him for cause, which they should have removed him for cause, because he has such a closeness to the case with his wife and them being robbed and kidnapped at gunpoint. So I couldn't use a peremptory challenge because he was already I was already concluded with my jury. I had already had my 12 jurors and my two other people.
This is a call from Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution. Green. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
So that's 4 jury members right there. The jury member that slept, that was taking narcotics for his back. That's another jury. That's 5 jury members. Like, there was a lot of things that went on with my jury that Daniel really didn't put up a real fight for. Then to go with the newspaper clippings that was found in the jury pool with my whole case plastered all over the front page of it. That was another thing. Like, my jury pool in this totality was tainted.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean it was, and then I paid attention to the order that the state went in doing the line of question that they did. You know, at trial, they questioned the girls first. Okay, and normally what would have happened is, you know, you would think that Brandon Morgan would be the one that would be questioned first out of those witnesses. But I think I know why. I think it was trying to get that sympathy going of like the whole, like, these alleged rapes. You know what I mean?
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's my opinion. But it's disappointing to hear and to see that, you know, if I was to be given these statements, these written statements, and see this shit, okay, this just doesn't even, when you're reading this, it doesn't start and end. This is not even a signature. I mean, this Misty Martin signature, that is not her signature, okay? And an expert would have been able, that's not the same signatures. You know what I'm saying? Like that, I'm pulling it up right here. Misty Martin signed this one right here, okay? That's her signature. And that signature right there is not the same signature as right here. These two are the exact same on these back pages. And I'm telling you, that ain't her signature. That's why he's arguing. He's like, did you write this? Because everything about it, it's the handwriting is, I mean, you would think that she was maybe bipolar writing this, because it doesn't make any sense.
And then the way that she described, well, I don't know if that was her or Brandon Morgan, but one of them when they described us in a written statement, the way it was written out, like the first person had on this, and then the second person, the way it was just aligned with each other, it was like weird for them to do it like that. When somebody writing a statement, they normally just write it out. You don't put it the way they did it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I believe, yeah, 100. I believe though that these this was already set in motion. Like, you were getting, like, Andre Davis was the one that told people that what you were wearing. By the way, that the police dude, he said he saw you at that funeral.
Right.
And I'm like thinking, when I talked to you and you said, well, a bunch of people had that picture of the shirt with the guy on it.
Right.
Were multiple people wearing that?
Like 50% of the people that was at the funeral was wearing it. I mean, me and all my friends was wearing it. Me and Revis was wearing
exactly.
it. Like,
so how are you going to go off of, because they were wearing a shirt that had, you know, your friend that passed away, his picture on it? And when I heard that, I was like, I bet you more than just one person had a shirt like that. Because I'm sorry, Dave, no knock on you, but I don't see you going and when you're in town from being out in Atlanta, coming there and running over to like Walmart to go make a press shirt. I'm sorry, I just don't see that happening. So somebody probably had those made.
Yeah, they was already made.
Exactly, meaning multiple shirts were made. Meaning you can't just say that. Oh yeah, no, Dayvon had that on early. Well, so did freaking how many people?
Yeah.
You know, and I started looking at the timestamps. You know, and it's very telling. And Kim Clemens needed to be deposed, and her stuff was done when one of the officers was. You know, she didn't testify in front of everybody. She did like this. What was it? Video.
Yeah, she did a video.
Okay, well, I want to know why. Do you remember why she had to do a video?
Something medically, like she had something that she was in the hospital for or something.
Okay, well, because that's the interview where we're missing pages, and we need her transcripts from the pages that we're missing because they're very. They go into asking her, well, who called you up that night? You weren't working. You weren't the detective on. So why would they call you to go to Aliquippa Hospital? How'd that happen? And then boom, I go to turn the page. There's 3 pages missing of the transcripts. I was like, damn it. So because it all comes back on Timmie Patrick.
All the like even when the mother and father had contact with 2 jury members, they didn't go to the courts. They went to Kim Clemens first. And Kim Clemens interviewed them and talked to them and then took it to the court. And like she didn't tell them, no, hold on, wait, whatever you gotta tell me, tell in front of the court. She interviewed them, talked to them and seen what was going on, and they did what they did, and then she came to the courts and brought it to the court's attention.
Yeah, I should have said witchy way. I should have said split personality. See, basically what I'm saying is two different people wrote this, period. So yeah, I have Kim's thing over here. Where is this at? And you know what it says on the top of it? It says this is the original. This was the original. And then somebody takes a pen, scratches it out, and says that this is a copy. And I'm like, wait, what? Because then I went through this. I don't know who wrote that, but it's like there's pages missing out of this. And this Kim Clemens, I need this. This is huge because I'm sorry, it's just wild.
I'll look
and all it is a total of 40. I think, let me see. Okay, it's 32 pages. So it wouldn't be that expensive to just even go buy if I have to get but we need all 32 pages because the pages that are missing, she's coughing up information that's important. It's just
all right. Well, I'll write everything out for my mom and or Lindsay to go down there this week and
yeah, I can tell you what page numbers and stuff. I think it's like a total of 8 pages out of the 32. But I can tell the courts, whoever stapled this was done with a very, very. It was like one of the court staple. You know what I mean?
You have one
so whoever
left.
did this, it wasn't like you guys did this. Somebody put this together this way, and that's what I think is interesting is that they purposely left those out. This cross-examination goes on to where, because I want to get to the part about, so just so I get this clear, now going back to your testimony with respect to you being on Carroll Street. Do you remember that? I don't know the name of the streets. She says, I don't know the name of the streets. Carroll, yeah, that's what she says when she was questioned. And then, when you said that Marquay drove the car to an alleyway and you and Brandon were asked to get out of the truck, correct? All right, we're on the same page. Yes. Okay. You and Brandon are sitting in the back seat of the SUV, right? Correct. You are on what side? The passenger side or the driver's side?
Securus. Goodbye.
I can't remember. We exited behind the driver's side. Okay. Both of you? I think so. But you are not sure. I am not. I am. Let me ask you another question. Is it possible that you could have gotten out of the rear passenger side? We might have. I'm not sure because I remember opening the door behind the driver's side. Okay, so it is possible. Yeah. Okay, so Miss Popovich asked you when you were cried just before you said that you were forced to give oral sex to Brandon, that you saw a gun in his hand. Do you remember saying that, or you just thought that that was a gun? Yes, a silver object, something silver. Yes. Okay. Do you remember being asked that same question at the preliminary hearing? Yes. And do you recall what your response was? I said I think it was a gun. I think that is what I said. You said that at the preliminary hearing? I think so. Mr. Hollis says, page 180, line 13 through 15. Your Honor, may I please approach? What page? Popovich says, 180. I'm sorry, 180. Take a look at that line. The court. You don't have to walk away, Mr.
Hello?
Hollis. Yes.
Okay.
So he hands her the transcripts, and he says, so today you said that it was a gun that you saw in Marquay's hand. I did not. Excuse me? 1 second. Let me finish the question. She can't type over us. Today you said that what you believed to be a gun in Marquay's hand at the time was a gun, right? No, I said I think it might have been a gun. I wasn't sure. Okay. When you refreshed your recollection just a few moments ago, when you were asked that same question at the preliminary hearing, I can't say if it was a gun or not. That is what I am saying. I can't say if it's a gun or not. I saw something silver. So you don't know if it is a gun? No. Could it have been Mr. Hollis? Your Honor, I would like to present to the witness what I have as marked as Exhibit A. Approach. See that skinny looking object in the corner? Yes. Could it have been that? It could have been. What does that appear to you to be? A wrapper. What kind of a wrapper? A condom wrapper. A condom wrapper? Would you agree with me that a condom wrapper is uniquely different from a firearm? It's silver, so. How? It was dark. I couldn't really see. I just saw something silver. So at the preliminary hearing, when you were asked that question, you said you erred on the side of caution. You said, I'm not certain when you come here today. Then Ms. Popovich says, Your Honor, objection again. Counsel is arguing with the witness. The court, ask a question, counsel. Today, after your meeting with Ms. Popovich, now you think it's a gun? Ms. Popovich says, Your Honor, the court, that is argumentative. That is not a question. Ask a question. Your Honor, if I could have a second, please. You can. When you were outside the truck, when this matter was unfolding, you didn't say that there had been a gun being pointed at you, right? Not that I remember. Not that you remember? Marquay is in the front seat with Jamie, right? Correct. And you're outside with Brandon, right? Correct. And the other Brandon, he's gone? Correct. So if you wanted to run, you could have. No. What was stopping you? If we wanted to, what was stopping me was because I was fearing for Jamie's life. You were fearing for Jamie's life? Yes. Had Marquay threatened Jamie? I don't know if he threatened her. I didn't hear anything. Had Marquay hit Jamie? No, not that I know of. Had Marquay done anything to indicate to you that he had been threatening Jamie? He had a gun. That is threatening enough. You just said that what that was in his hand was, it could have been a condom wrapper.
Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Green. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
I just said it was something silver. I don't know if it was a gun or not. It was dark. How do you articulate what you don't know to be a weapon when you just said it could have been a condom wrapper? The gun was silver. Did you see a gun in his hands? Yes. He had a gun when he shot out the window and when he had Jamie in his lap, question mark? I don't know if it was a gun I saw. I said I saw something silver. When this whole thing ends, Marquay tells you and Brandon, or excuse me, when he throws the clothes allegedly belonging to you outside of the truck window and drives off, he didn't throw any clothes out the window. He threw Jamie's jeans out the window. You already had your clothes on? Yes. So you were dressed? Yes. So you could have left if you wanted to, but you chose not to because you just wanted to be there for your girlfriend, Jamie. I didn't want to put her life in danger. Okay. So when the truck drives off and you and Brandon are walking up the street, the alleyway that you described, right? Yes. It's not really an alleyway, is it? Yeah, it's an alleyway, but there was houses. I can't exactly, like, there's houses on the end of the street, but there's houses. It's also like, I don't know. It's like towards the alley. Let me help you. Tell me if I'm correct or not. Are you walking down the street? There's a house on the right-hand side? Yeah, there's houses all over. Okay, but is it like a residential house? Yeah. Okay, and as you walk to the end of the street, there's another house. Yeah, a whole bunch of there's a whole bunch of houses right there. Okay, a whole bunch of houses.
This is a call from Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution. Green. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
Neither you nor Brandon chose to stop at any one of those houses to say that you had just been sexually assaulted and carjacked? We didn't know the neighborhood. And see, right here, this is why I'm just so upset about Todd Hollis and Benyo. And I blame Benyo, not Todd. Like, he just got on the case. This is where his phone records would have been crucial. He's in Aliquippa every freaking day. We didn't know we didn't know the neighborhood. We didn't know what type of neighborhood we were in, you know? What does that mean? Like, there is different neighborhoods that, like, you know, some people don't like the fact that people can come up to their steps at 3 or 4 in the morning or the wee hours of the morning. So you were telling me that you don't believe that a responsible property-owning citizen would have been sensitive? Ms. Pavlovich says, Your Honor, objection. And the court says, that is clearly being argumentative. Mr. Hollis asked a question. So you made no attempts to get to the attention of any law enforcement authorities. Isn't that correct? Your Honor, asked and answered. Move on, counsel. You walk to the corner store at 3 o'clock in the morning and you and Brandon sit on the corner store on the curb and discuss what you're going to tell the police when they come, right? He was telling me what to say. And you allowed him to, basically to lead you into lying to the police. Yes, of course. I have no further questions, Your Honor. I would like to introduce an evidence defendant's Exhibit A. Your Honor, I object to that if we may go to the sidebar. Your Honor, I would object to that exhibit. First of all, there is a lack of foundation. It depicts a condom wrapper. We don't know where that wrapper was taken. This witness does not identify that. She recognizes that area, that she recognizes the condom wrapper. All that we know is it was taken outside of the courthouse. I don't believe that the defense has established proper foundation at the time. Hollis says, Your Honor, at the time that we obtained this document, it was given to us through the discovery process. When I questioned the witness as its potential merit, she said it was a possibility. I think it goes. The court says, she said it was a possibility as a condom wrapper. You got that on the record. I don't know that you need the exhibit. That is what I asked her. The objection is foundation for the exhibit itself. Well, I asked her, your question, she said yes, it could have been. The question was the court could have been a condom wrapper. Could it have been a condom wrapper? Go ahead. Why were they arguing over this? And they end up saying, at this time, I'm not going to admit it in the record. They just fucked you every chance they could.
That's a fact. And the crazy thing is, like, you had no evidence of a gun, to be honest. Like, you have no real testimony of somebody actually saying that they seen a gun and then
there is no gun, no seeing no gun. There's no
physical gun,
no shell casings,
nothing. But you charged me with a gun, and that gun gave me a mandatory sentence for everything.
Yeah, the gun.
Which is why I got so much time.
Yeah, it was the gun. And now they redirect here. Misty, I have a few questions for you. Now, Mr. Hollis asked you a lot of questions about that written statement that you gave to the police, correct? First of all, when you were writing that statement, where was Brandon Morgan? Sitting directly across from me at the table at the police station? And you could explain to the jury, why did you cross out those portions of that statement? Because Brandon was watching me and glancing at me. Why were you afraid of Brandon seeing what you were writing? I don't know, because, Mr. Benyo, objection, Your Honor. It's a mischaracterization of the testimony. She didn't say she was afraid. The court says, Mr. Benyo. Mr. Benyo says, yes, Your Honor, I'm sorry. Ms. Pavlovich, Your Honor, I can rephrase that question. do so. So right there, he does something good for you because that is true. So he does that.
Right.
Misty, why did you care if Brandon saw what you wrote? Because I don't know. And could you explain to the jury exactly what was going through your mind when you were writing the statements? I was scared, and I was fearing for my life, and I wasn't sure what was going to happen. And why were you scared, Misty? Because of Jamie and what happened to her, and she hadn't been found. And okay, now Mr. Hollis had asked you some questions about when the window was shot out, and at the time that the window was shot out, did you see Antoine holding a gun? No. Did you ever see Antoine holding a gun? No. At the time the window was shot out, who was holding a gun? Marquay. Was anyone else in the vehicle holding a gun at that point? No. Okay, now another thing I just want to clarify for the jury. Mr. Hollis asked you at the beginning of your cross-examination about having sex with Marquay. Did you ever actually have sex with Marquay? No. Who did you perform the acts with? The court says counsel. Ms. Rogers says Brandon. Okay, and why did you do that? Because I was told to. By who? Marquay. Okay, now Misty. Mr. Hollis asked you a number of questions about things that you testified to at the preliminary hearing that I would just like to clarify, okay? First, I'm going to be referring to page 145, line 17 through, actually, let's go to line 13. No, line 17 through 23. May I approach the witness? You may. Okay, now, Misty, in those lines, what Mr. Hollis had questioned you about earlier at the preliminary hearing, you were questioned that despite what you told them there at the preliminary hearing, you told the police that the individuals in your written statement, you told the police that they had black ski masks. That is what you were asked at the preliminary hearing. Yes. How did you answer? I don't remember telling the judge that, but yes, in my written statement, but I never told the police that. Okay, thank you. And I also want to refer you to page 153, line 9 through 15. Mr. Hollis had asked you about those. Missy, could you please take a look at those lines? Missy, do you remember Mr. Hollis asking you questions about whether you used the name Marcus when you testified at the preliminary hearing? Is that correct? Yes. And in fact, when you were questioned at the preliminary hearing, you were asked if you used the name Marcus in the statement that you had written at the police station that night. Isn't that correct? True, yes. Okay, and do you remember Mr. Hollis asking you about testifying at the preliminary hearing as to whether or not you blacked out? Correct, yes. And counsel, I will be referring to page 158, line 9 through 12. Your Honor, may approach. Yes. Misty, could you please read those lines? Does that refresh your recollection? Yes. Misty, isn't it correct that at the preliminary hearing, when you were asked if you blacked out, you told them that you might have because things aren't clear? Yes. Finally, counsel, I'm going to be referring to page 180, lines 13 through 16. Your Honor, can I once again approach? I would object to, before she can approach the witness to refresh her recollection, the witness must state she must first ask a question. I will do so, Your Honor. Do you remember Mr. Hollis asking you questions about what you testified to at the preliminary hearing in regard to what you saw in Marquay's hand and in the back alley? Yes. Ms. Pavlovich, Your Honor, may now approach. Okay, you can. Objection. She did not say she did remember what she said. There is no need to refresh her recollection with the transcript. You are correct, Mr. Hollis. Do you remember testifying at the preliminary hearing? Yes. And in fact, when you testified at the preliminary hearing, did you remember what you said you saw in Marquay's hand? That you saw something? And she says, yes. What did you say at the preliminary hearing? I said I thought it was something silver. I couldn't say if it was a gun or not. That is what you testified to at the preliminary hearing? Yes. Okay. Now, Mr. Hollis spent some time asking you about whether or not you were free to leave whenever you were in that alley when Marquay forced you to perform some oral sex acts. He said somebody has to pay. And after that, he said, what did he say? What did he have you do? He told me Brandon to get out of the vehicle. He threw out, he told me to give Brandon head, and so I did. And then Jamie was also had her head in his lap. And given all of that, Misty, did you feel that you could leave the area at that time? No, not really. Okay. And Misty, Mr. Hollis was asking you questions about what you remember that night of the incident as opposed to what you remember here today, correct? Okay. And do you remember him asking you if you didn't really remember what happened when you were giving your statement at 3:10 in the morning that night, correct? Okay. When you were interviewed by Detective Couch at 4:30 in the morning that same evening, what did you tell him? I told him everything that happened that was the truth. Okay. When you testified at the preliminary hearing on January 11th, what did you testify to? The truth. And what was that? The same thing that you told Detective Couch that night in your oral interview? Yes.
Thank you for using Securus. Goodbye.
So where we're going to pick up with all of this is because now it's all going to rely on what Couch has in his notes. You get what I'm trying to say? So what Popovich just did there is she puts it all on. Let's just go back to what you told the Detective Couch, or what you told Police Chief Couch. And Police Chief Couch couldn't be more fucking corrupt as he got fired from his job for his shit. And let's see. Does he Hollis does a recross. You said that when you wrote the statement, you said that when you, correct me if I'm wrong, that is the reason why you didn't leave that scene at the time that you and Brandon were outside of the truck was because you feared for Jamie's life, correct? Correct. But when you wrote the statement initially, you didn't even include Jamie in it. So how concerned were you really for Jamie then? I was really concerned. But you failed to mention the fact that supposedly, right? Your Honor, objection. Counsel is arguing with the witness. Overruled. Ask a question, Mr. Hollis. You failed to mention the fact that supposedly Jamie had been sexually assaulted. Yeah. So right there when we got broke off, so they're going back to heavily trying to put this all on Couch then to say that like, yeah. And see, that to me is, I'm not a fan of that move. But basically it's like, okay, so you wrote all this stuff, but then at 4:30, then you talked to Couch. And see, I don't even know if that ever took place because she is just doing and saying everything that they told her to do and say.
Just like she did everything that Brandon Morgan told her to say. And the fact that they sitting right across from each other, writing their statements, it's crazy. Like, that's not something that you do. They should have been in two separate rooms. Yeah.
And then so Hollis does a little redirect here, and he says, you failed to mention the fact that supposedly Jamie had been sexually assaulted, correct? And she said, yeah, correct. At that point that you guys sat at this corner for 30 minutes in a police car, an officer of the peace drives by, neither you nor Brandon makes any attempt to stop that car. Isn't that correct? You didn't try to stop that car. And she says, correct. And he says, no further questions. Like, if you were so concerned with Jamie, okay, and you saw a police officer coming by, why aren't you flagging him down and saying, oh my God, my friend is being sexually assaulted back in this alley over here. You got to go help her. She does nothing of the sort. Neither does Brandon. And that's his girlfriend, allegedly, that he, by the way, slaps around because he has a PFA out on him that Jamie put out on him because he was abusing her. Not to mention the fact that I got her rape kit back and she was asked questions that had to do with how many people did she have sex with that day. And Kim testifies to that she only said she had sex with 5 people that day. It was the 5 black males. And there was unidentified male.
It was somebody else outside of
yes.
us 5. It was somebody else outside of us 5 and Brandon Morgan.
Correct.
So it was another person that she had sex with outside of us and her boyfriend.
Correct. And that did not get enough attention. And why did that get so covered up?
I don't know. I think that they wouldn't let us use it because of the rape shield law. But Todd Hollis wanted to use that. Todd Hollis wanted to go question her about that because he like, well, it's more to it than just these 5 people and then her boyfriend. Like, she's having sex because he was trying to show that.
Like this, yeah, this was just like, this was a lifestyle. You know what I mean?
Right, this is what she do, like, and they wouldn't allow it.
So that got suppressed, basically. That type of questioning got suppressed.
This is a call from Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Green. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
But yeah, they wouldn't allow it. But that it was only DeMarcus Walker was the only one that had DNA and another person.
Jeez. Yeah, because when I went back and I started I was going back and listening to the different testimonies of the main thing was Kim, because that's the person that went and allegedly spoke to, you know, Jamie. And
Yeah.
I knew that they were, when they were hinting at the fact that they were like she said she only had sex with, you know, 5 black males. And I was like, wait a second, that's not what these test results came back, because I went through all of her test results. And it came back as there was unidentified male DNA.
Right.
You know, spermicide, whatever it was, and that Brandon Morgan and all of you 5 gave up your DNA, and it came back as you guys were not hits on that.
Right.
And then I was trying to figure out, did they ever like swab Misty's mouth ever?
I don't know. I never got nothing for that. It was not in my discovery about that.
Because I'm gonna try to go through it again. I didn't see anything, but I would think that based off of a story, you know, I don't know when I don't think she said that to the police that night, so it wasn't like they took her to the Aliquippa hospital or anything like that, because she never claimed that. You know what I mean? Because they are okay. Hit me up tomorrow or later.
Yeah. You want to do it on your birthday?
Oh, tomorrow is my birthday, isn't it? Yeah. How about Monday?
That's fine. Whatever you want to do it, it's fine.
Okay. We'll make sure that
You gotta give us a time frame.
we'll make sure. Lindsay, what time's good for you? What time's good?
Whatever time you can be.
What time's good for you?
It doesn't matter to me.
This is a call from Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Green. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
Monday would be the same. We could do it the same time if you want to do it. Then 2:30.
All right, we'll do 2:30 on Monday. That sounds good for me.
All right, that's fine.
All right, I'll have a shot for you on my birthday.
Yeah, please do. Enjoy yourself.
I will. And
but Lindsay gonna talk to you when we get off the phone anyway. And then I'm gonna still call you tomorrow, wish you happy birthday and all that. But
okay, yeah, do that. That'd be great. I would appreciate it.
And talk to you about some things, and then we'll get together again on Monday
We'll go live on Monday. Okay, cool. Because I want to get through Brandon. I want to do Brandon's, and then I want to do Jamie's. So I want to get done with all of their testimonies here, so everybody can be kind of caught up with knowing your case, and then we can just break down what they did on the prosecution end to like seal this all up. Because, I mean, this is just. It's crazy. It's crazy. To think that there could be jurors that would listen to this stuff and think that these people were telling the truth. The moment that I think that you lied on any type of testimony to under oath, boom, out. Like, and I would have been in a jury room and I'd have been like, there's no way I'm convicting anybody on any of this stuff. I think that this is a racist town. And I see a lot of vendettas going around here, and that's just my opinion. And what I saw in the courtroom is this, that, and you're not going to get me to move on it. So it can either be a hung jury, or we can all go with not guilty.
Right.
And they're going to be like, they would probably say to me, like, on all charges, on all of it. They all got in the car together, go do some drug shit, and then all of this transpired. Okay, which we're coming to find out is there's holes everywhere in this. And then people are
Right.
saying stuff so that they don't get in trouble. So
Right.
yeah, they're going to say whatever. So yeah, not guilty on everything. And if you want to fight me, we'll be here until, we'll be sequestered together. We'll have to throw down.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, that's
that's why I think picking the jury is so important. That's the most important part about it. They have your life in their hands.
All right, they sending this in right
Okay.
now.
Okay. Yep. Call me later. Okay. Bye, Lindsay. I'll talk to you later.
Talk to Lana and I'll call you later on.
Okay.
Okay. And Lindsay, I'll call you back when I get off here. Okay. Bye. All right, guys. Well, there you heard it. Run it back, play it back, put it in your ear, listen to it while you're, I don't know, doing laundry or something. But that's a wrap there on Misty Martin's testimony on what had occurred that night. The next episode will be on Monday, and I'm going to get through all of what Brandon Morgan said. I'll highlight on some points. Actually, I'll just basically give it to you what he said at the actual trial, because they go back and forth. May mention what he said in the prelim. He mixes up who the people are in the prelim. He identifies the wrong people because there were 5 black males sitting at a table, and he's identifying the wrong people. And it's not too late for these people to just come forward and tell the truth. Like, yeah, I said this because this cop told me to do this, especially if these cops have already gotten busted for being shady. So I think Misty would come forward and would say, I never said that to Officer Couch. I was, when that's what he said, I wasn't, what if I went against a cop, then what's going to happen to me? But come back and join. If you want to run it out of the case, there's a playlist, but very, very simply put, a guy was set up, and I'm going through how he was set up. And it took an army to set, to make it all happen, because he wasn't going to take a plea deal. He didn't do what they were accusing him of doing. He wasn't raping anybody. He wasn't holding a gun to people. He didn't have a gun. He was simply there from out of town, riding along with a friend to pick up weed. And then this whole thing transpired. That's what I thought too there, Shirley. That's what I thought too. But you want to know what? They were screwing him at every chance possible. I have his whole entire docket. I'm going to show it because it's just wild. There's so much discovery here for this case that you would think, like, I mean, anyways, thank you guys for being here. And there is a playlist, and I will do it all again with you guys on Monday. You guys can hear what Brandon Morgan had to say. And then on Tuesday, you guys can hear what Jamie had to say. And that'll get you through the bulk of the case. And then how these little detectives and what they did. Really, really bad. Really, really bad things. All right, until next time.